In today's show, the hunt for Blazers optimism. I got real things that bring you joy and hope as shared by listeners of this very podcast. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. Coming at you Monday through Friday, each and every weekday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we are hunting for optimism. What longtime listener Dr. J referred to as the Damian Lillard brand of pathological and fierce optimism. I love it. Dame was fiercely optimistic in the face of a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily want to be optimistic about. And we're going to channel that same energy. Damian Lillard's gone. The season's not going great. I mean, it's going fine in the grand scheme of things. They're in a rebuild, but they've been struggling and getting thrashed recently. So it's been a tough stretch. So what I closed yesterday's show asking for listeners to share things that like legitimately they found joy in or made them hopeful or just things they enjoyed from the season. We are gonna hunt for optimism, hunt for joy, and this is like, let's be clear. I am doing this not because I think there's like plenty of reasons to be joyful. Like that's not even how I'm wired. I'm doing this because we need it. We need it. If you're listening to this podcast about this team, you could use a little joy. So we are very intentionally steering into the rainbow. I totally recognize that. So if this isn't your cup of tea, honestly, it should be. Give it a try. Give it a try. Give optimism a try. Let's start here with listener Vic. Victor sent me this. I'm not able to watch a lot of games. So I'm not able to watch a lot of games live. So most of my joy is found in the relatively impersonal box score. My main joy is kind of a low bar, but I'm basically just looking at Scoot's assist to turnover ratio. Is it better than 1? Great. Is it approaching 2 to 1? Great. We fist bump. Is it that one game where it was like 10 to 1? We hoot and holler for 3 days it takes for the game to finally appear on League Pass. Shout out to the League Pass embargo and shout out to Victor for sharing that joyous moment from the season. I think undeniably, Scoot Henderson has improved as the season has gone on, and his ability to pass has been on full display. Even when the Blazers have stunk, I thought in that second Dallas game where Luka was not healthy and the Blazers got punked, I thought quietly Scoot had a great first half. Like when the game was still competitive and they were down 9 at halftime, Scoot had a great first half. 6 assists in the first half, a couple just like one-handed rockets throwing it from the top of the key to the corner, including a late pass to Jeremy Grant in the first half. That was just like, physically, not too many dudes can make that pass. Like maybe they can see it, but not everybody sees it. But not too many dudes can physically off a live dribble, grab it with one hand, even you grab it with your strong hand, whatever. Like make that throw that pass. It's a heck of a pass from Scoot. I think undeniably we have seen him get better. We've seen him. He started the year so rough that it was like the only way the graph could go was up, right? But I think even without doing the thing, and I think there's like a tendency that when you're talking about a player who struggled at the beginning of the season, you say, okay, let's take out the bad games. Okay, so if you remove the bad games, this is what he looks like in the good games. I don't even think you really need to do that with Scoot if you've been watching him play, and obviously Victor's kind of unable to, but hopefully you listen to the podcast. Also, appreciate anyone who listens to the podcast if they're unable to watch the game. This is what I'm trying to bring you closer no matter what your experience is watching the team. So I appreciate you, Victor, and all those in Victor's sort of same boat, unable to watch a bunch of games live. But if you have watched Scoot, like you don't really need to cherry pick at this point. Obviously, he's going to have his ups and downs. Like he turned the ball over his first 2 touches in the Blazers' last game. But like, he's 19. He's going to make mistakes. He plays like a young player from time to time. But when the flashes come, it's easy. Like I said, you don't need to cherry pick. You can just be like, he played well this game. He played well this stretch. He played well. The Blazers' last win against a good team when against the Kings back on December 26th, like Scoot played really freaking well in that game. You don't need to hunt. Obviously, the team hasn't been very good lately, and Scoot's been part of that. But I thought he played well. I thought he even played well in the game against the Nets, where he didn't get to play down the stretch, and they went with Malcolm Brogdon. That's just like a roster thing more than a Scoot thing, as a roster and a Chauncey thing more than a Scoot thing. So like, I think undeniably his growth as a passer and a playmaker, something he naturally wants to do. And if you watch him closely, he loves to pass. Scoot will throw a pass and start jumping up and down, excited that it's going to work out. He'll linger in the backcourt to high five the dude he just completed an assist to. Like, he loves to pass, and loving to pass is contagious. As Nikola Jokic said, an assist is better than a bucket, because on assist, 2 people are happy. On a bucket, just 1. It's like Scoot loves it. And I think there is, obviously, it's just like natural growing pains watching a young player play, but to see him continue to progress as a passer and a playmaker. And the beginning of the year, he was turning the ball over a bunch, and he's cut down on those a little bit. Fouls and turnovers have been a bugaboo for him because he's a young player learning the league, but like, he has skills, and he like the physical tools to throw passes that others can't, and the vision and the willingness to do it. And I think as the Blazers, just like, if Scoot gets more and better players around him, better cutters, and an offense that encourages cutting as opposed to single action and then get caught in a weird isolation as the current offense is set up, or just better shooters, like even if they still stand still, because plenty of teams kind of stand and watch on high pick and rolls, but just better shooters around him. Like if he isn't playing on the court with Tamani Kamara or Jabari Walke, but he's playing with like better guys on the wing who can really shoot, like Scoot could be a problem, because he's starting to get that athleticism to get in the paint, and he can really pass. And I love that's bringing you joy, Victor. I love that the impersonal box score, as you call it, is bringing you joy, and I hope you find a little. I hope you have moments when you do wait for the league pass embargo to be lifted to find that personality, because Scoot has an infectious joy when things are rolling. Things haven't been rolling very often because the team is they're green. They're figuring out it's not easy being green, as Kermit said. Here's some Scoot numbers though from Dr. J, the aforementioned Dr. J, who mentioned at the open of the show. Dr. J actually sent me this email prior to my call for joy, and it was kind of the impetus for this episode. So if you want to send me an email, do so. LockedOnBlazersPod@gmail.com. That's the best way to reach me. It's the best way to have like a normal human conversation with me. Best way to share your thoughts and disagreements, because like I'm gonna say stuff you don't agree with, and that's the place to be like, hey, I think this, and we can chat. Or you can send me something interesting, and I'll be like, that's great. Thank you so much. I'm going to use it in the show, like Dr. J did. And Dr. J, even before I sent the call for joy and positivity and like fierce optimism, sent me an email about the sort of the fierce and pathological optimism of Damian Lillard, sort of fueling his look for things to be happy about, things to be a homer about, right? And Dr. J sends me this, and I verified these statistics. Scoot Henderson leads all rookies and sophomores, that's first and second year players in the league, in assists, 5 per game, assists per 36 minutes, potential assists, and adjusted assists. Potential assists is like you pass it to someone and they take a shot and they miss it. And adjusted assists is something the NBA.com stats website tracks but doesn't explain. Who knows? I couldn't tell you what 6.4 adjusted assists means, but I know that Scoot leads all rookies and sophomores in assists, like raw assists per game, total assists per 36 minutes, potential assists, and adjusted assists. He could really pass. And he wants to pass, and it's been a joy and something to easily appreciate. I got another thing to appreciate, and it's from a listener who has been finding joy in the Blazers blowouts. In fourth quarters that often turn into mixer moments, minutes for the Rip City remix to get out there, a listener shared some joy that they found even in the garbage time lineup. So let's talk about that in the second segment. First, let's talk PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made easy. You can play PrizePicks on the app. But first, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the promo code LockedOnNBA to get a deposit match up to $100. Once you get those for that deposit match, here's how it works. You pick between 2 and 6 players on your ballot, and on your entry rather, and you're just going more or less than the projection set by PrizePicks. So you can play whatever sport you're looking for, the NBA, NHL, or the NFL, as long as the NFL playoffs are rolling along. For me, I play basketball. I play the NBA. It's what I'm comfortable with. So it's points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. PrizePicks sets the projections, and I say more or less than projections. Anthony Simons, more than 24.5 points. Bang, bang, bang. Let's go. You can win up to 25 times your money if you get all 6 right, but you don't have to feel that froggy. You can win some money even going 4 out of 6 or even 3 out of 5 if you want to. You can make selections in 60 seconds, and when you win, you get your money quickly. So go get your money. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the promo code LockedOnNBA. Get a first deposit match, dollar for dollar, up to $100. That's PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA. That promo code is LockedOnNBA. It's PrizePicks Daily Fantasy made easy. All right. Fierce optimism. We're hunting positivity, chasing rainbows here on the pod this evening. You're probably listening to it in the morning. You're listening to Thursday, January 11th show. I'm recording it on a Wednesday evening, though. I'm chasing rainbows at night. You're listening to this, and you can also chase rainbows along with me wherever you are. This next one comes from Eric, the rare Eric with a C and a K. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to my man E. Rick. That's Eric with a C and a K who says the moment of joy comes from. It's a small thing, but Rayan Rupert has looked so much more comfortable in the garbage time minutes compared to Summer League. The Blazers finally developing young players in the G League gives me hope, whether it's real or false. It's been one of the biggest joys for me over the last few weeks. That's edited from a much longer email from Eric with a C and a K. I appreciate you, Eric with a C and a K. I think it's been really frustrating for the Blazers to play games that are like over with 5 minutes left in the third quarter over the last 10 days. It's been disheartening in so many ways, and just dismal, right? Just like a dismal run of play. And then you get to the fourth quarter, and Chauncey Billups has leaned on really young groups. Even in the last game, he didn't even play Scoot and Shea. At the end of the game, it was like Rayan Rupert and Justin Minaya and Chris Murray and Ibu Baji, along with Toumani Camara. It was just like, hey, that's like a true remix lineup along with Toumani Camara, who's an NBA starter. But, he's young and he still has a lot to sort of grow into. But Rupert, who looked, he was invited to the green room. Like, let's rewind even all the way back to that. He's invited to so like, if you're invited to the green room on draft night, it means they think you're going to be a first round pick or like a relatively high pick, even like in the top 20s range, right? Because if you're invited there, you're going to get your name called. You're going to get your name called early. They're going to get you on TV. They're going to do an interview with you. They're going to have a special moment with your family, yada, 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 right? Rayan Rupert's a green room invite. That bodes well for him, right? That's a really good news. And then he's there for like 4 hours because he gets there early and does all these things. And then the first round of the NBA draft drags on forever because it's a television event. And then they got the second round of the draft, which they speed up a little bit, but it's not super quick anyways. And he doesn't get his name called till the 50s. Dang. But he's there, looking nice, black suit, big smile. Dream realized, but obviously like a dream delayed. Not deferred, but a dream delayed. Shout out to Langston Hughes. But then he gets to Summer League, and it's like, you're a second round pick, you're a teenager, you're just like, you're not expected to be really special. And if you are really special, it's such a huge developmental win and draft win for the Blazers. But this is like someone who, when you take a teenager in the second round, you're expecting it to be steps, right? Steps to get back to steps to get up to the level they need to get to. And Rupert just didn't look like an NBA player or close to it in Summer League. He looked so bumpy. Dude looked rough, as Eric with a C and a K points out. He just looked a long way away. He looked very raw and like couldn't really dribble. Just like, what is he going to do on offense? A long way away. And then he spent a bunch of time with the Rip City remix. He's been a mixer, and he's shooting pretty well with the remix, averaging like 14, 15 a game. G League stats can be, just because of the pace of play and kind of how they focus on certain guys, like it can be a little, I don't know, misleading, but like there's counting stats to be had for folks in the G League. But Rupert's just been solid, and the shooting has been there, and it's like, okay, at some point, you just like want to see him play in an NBA game that's meaningful, because like they're losing anyways. Why not let him play? But he hasn't had that opportunity. Instead, he has played in garbage time, and it's not like he has stood out for me, and I'm not trying to poo-poo anyone, but it's not like he stood out to the point where it's like, this dude has to play. But he has stood out to the point where it's like, wow, he's come a long way, like them slow mass cigarettes from Virginia. He just is a different player. And I think what Eric points to here is like, the hope that the G League has real value. Like the Blazers launched a G League team in 10 months, right? Like they're clearly the thing they wanted to do with the G League was have it basketball value. If you wanted to be like a brand value thing, you'd launch it slowly over 2 years and make it a whole big thing, and like would have had jerseys and all that stuff and merch and everything ready. But like, I know people who helped set it up. Like it was quick. They launched a professional basketball team in 10 months because the number one thing they wanted to get out of it was basketball. They wanted it to have benefits with the NBA team. They want to have developmental benefits because they knew they're going to be a young team. They knew they're going to. They knew what the deal was going to be. Yes, I'm implying that maybe they had an idea that Damian Lillard was not going to be around when they decided to launch the team prior to his trade request. Kel surprise. But regardless, they're getting their benefits from it, obvious benefits. And Rupert is maybe the most obvious one. Ibu Badji is obviously a really, really big one too, and he's been really good. And I didn't get any joy emails about Badji, but he's been super fun, right? Like he's still super raw, and like he doesn't have quite a role on offense yet, but dude knows how to block shots and plays his butt off, and he's gigantic, and he's really athletic. He's been fun. But Rupert's growth, just from like what we saw in July to what we've seen in these fourth quarters, where it's just like he looks so much more comfortable. Like he kind of had this like newborn giraffe vibe when he was playing in summer league. It was like, is this dude gonna fall over if he dribbles too much? And now he's like he looks like totally functional end of the bench NBA guy, and that is a huge step up. And just the hope that he can go from that to this, that's in 6 months, like from July to January, and then what can he be like in another 6 months? A bunch more time in the G League, another NBA summer, another summer league. It's like having an actual developmental system. Believe it or not, the Blazers not having a G League team for a long time, certainly a competitive disadvantage, and having one now, a real advantage. And Rupert is a poster child for that, and he's been really fun. I'm glad that you are finding joy there. What was the quote? Whether real or false hope. I think it's real hope. I think it's real hope. You can be hopeful about something that maybe doesn't come to fruition. The hope is real. I'm not going to call it false hope. Okay. I got another one for you, and it's about joy on the sidelines. And we'll talk a little about the Blazers game against OKC that will be 6 of 7 on their long road trip. Before we do that, I want to tell you about Jace Medical. Jace Medical wants you to be prepared. That is their number one goal, is for you to always feel like you are prepared, whatever that looks like for you. And what they're offering is 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, UTIs, respiratory infections, skin infections, among others. You know, these things come up. And if Jace Medical offering a case with 5 life-saving antibiotics, if having that on hand would provide you the peace of mind, then go find that peace of mind. Visit jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. You meet with a physician. It'll be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and then your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. And Jace Medical wants to make sure that you're prepared. Go to jacemedical.com and use the offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked On Blazers. We're talking joy, chasing rainbows. This last one comes from Ty. Ty offers the following. The thing that has been giving me the most joy this season is watching the young Blazers be happy for one another. They haven't had many opportunities to do so, but seeing Scoot and Jabari Walke and Scoot Henderson, and especially Ish Wainwright, be excited on the bench has been a bright spot. Maybe even my favorite part of the season. I love to see the guys get hyped for each other's success. Ish Wainwright, love cheering. I think one of the things I think I mentioned on the show in the past is like, the Blazers don't really have a rah-rah guy. They don't have a rah-rah guy. They don't have Patty Mills or Kent Bazemore on the end of their bench. Ish Wainwright was kind of the best bet to be a rah-rah guy. The best bet to be, even I think Zach Collins did that role pretty well, where it's just like someone on the bench who's getting hyped and having fun and going nuts. Jabari Walke does that a little bit, but Jabari can be kind of intense. He can be kind of intense. So, someone has to start it. Then Jabari can jump in and enjoy it because he will do it. But like he will certainly celebrate. And then Scoot has been a big celebrator. What Nazir Little once called gassers, people who gas their teammates up. Let's go, way to go. Guys who bask in the success of their teammates. And I think this is a really good one from Ty because sometimes the Blazers, they're 10-26, right? It's like there aren't always great nights, and they're gonna win like 1 out of 4 each week, roughly, given their run so far. But like to watch a young team start to support each other, and particularly to start support provide that support when things aren't going great is a way to appreciate kind of what this means to them. NBA guys don't sign up to tank, right? Like they didn't sign up to say like, hey, we're going to have 6 players who are in their first or their second year, right? They just said, yeah, I'd love to play in the NBA. Then they ended up in this situation where the Blazers are like, we're going to be an aggressive developmental squad, like basically sit out free agency, go super young, all of these things. Like we are going to launch the rebuild and we are going to launch it. This thing is going all the way to the moon, as they say. And I think Scoot has showed that even since Summer League that he's a gasser. He's someone who gets hyped on the sidelines. Jabari Walke, like I said, he's kind of intense, so you can see him sometimes just like really, really focused on the sidelines. But when the joy starts going, Jabari Walke basks in the waters. He will purify himself in the waters of Lake Happiness. I don't know, that metaphor got away from me. But like Jabari will have fun and he'll celebrate, he'll get hyped, and he'll be someone on the bench who you see having one of those great bench celebrations for a huge highlight, for a huge shade and sharp dunk. Jabari Walker's going nuts. And Ish Wainwright, like sometimes when the Blazers were briefly fully healthy, Ish Wainwright didn't even have a seat on the bench. He sat like on the row next to the bench. So he'd be standing up just yelling and hyped and all those things, particularly when he was injured at the beginning of the year. He was a guy who stood up and kept that energy going. And I think finding joy in non-basketball stuff this season is incredibly important. And like the fun part of rooting for a team is getting to know and appreciate the players as people. Like I'm a big basketball dork, X's and O's numbers type of dork, but like what draws me to the sport is the personalities, the people. Like that's what keeps you here. And sort of, particularly when you're rooting for a new team and a young team, is like learning who these people are makes it more enjoyable to be a fan. I think, the best coverage of any sport is always the coverage that makes you feel like you're closer, right? The coverage that makes you feel like you're more familiar with these dudes as people. A thing I always think about is like Norman Powell threw his sister a Harry Potter themed baby shower. Like this is like a little detail that is not maybe particularly germane to Norman Powell, the basketball player, but what a sweet and nice thing. What a sweet and nice thing to do. As players are, as you sort of, we settle into the season and get past the halfway mark, you get to know players better, get to appreciate them better, and get to watch them closely and watch them do things like celebrate on the bench like Ty does. And you can really start to feel a connection to a team. You build a connection as a fan, and I hope those little things can help you do it. I hope the show helps you do it to some extent, although my role has changed a little bit over the years, so I feel like I'll have to make an effort to do more of that. And I think Ty offers a good reminder for some of the things that you find joy in, or just the simple things of like dudes celebrating their teammates, and hopefully little things like that can help us. We can find more joy in those things as the Blazers continue kind of progress through the season. Portland plays 2 more games on this road trip. Two more. OKC and the Minnesota back-to-back Thursday and Friday. They play OKC this evening. You're listening to Thursday, January 11th show. This evening they play Oklahoma City, then on to Minnesota. These are the 2 best teams in the West. Minnesota without Rudy Gobert just lost to the Celtics on Wednesday evening, and OKC beat the Heat in Miami. That means Oklahoma City is on the second night of a back-to-back, a road-home back-to-back. The Blazers will have a rest advantage against OKC. I am not. Oklahoma City is just like straight up really good. They're top 10 in offense, top 10 in defense. They're the 3rd best net rating in the league. Like they're just really freaking good. They're really young. They're really good. Like they're the envy of every team in the league because they're both like all of their good players are under 25 and they're already a very good team right now. And they got a freaking war chest of draft picks to continue to get better in whatever way they want to do it. Right? They can move the puzzle pieces around. I think this is, I don't want to paint it as a tough test or a need for the Blazers to prove anything. I will just say this. It would be nice if we deprive Eric of a little joy in this one. And that is, wouldn't it be nice if the Blazers played a game that was competitive at least through 3 full quarters? Like competitive through 3 full quarters, and that we didn't get the Rayan Rupert sighting? We didn't get a remix 4th quarter. I think I think the Blazers are, and I've mentioned this, I've used this phrase in the show before, so if you've heard it from me say it, this is why. It's like, this is the long middle third of the season. This is when the reality of what kind of team you are settles in, and then it gets tough to bring it, right? And the Blazers are in this spot where it seems like it's tough for them to bring it. And that's, everybody deserves pointed blame for that. Coaches, players, everybody, front office, everybody. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo said everybody needs to play better. Even the equipment guy needs to wash our jerseys better. I'm not going to do that. I think Eric, the Blaze equipment guy, does a great job. He's doing all right. But like, I think in the sort of you'd love to see it. This is a mini you'd love to see it. You just love to see the Blazers play 3 competitive quarters. Open the fourth quarter with a puncher's chance. Down 13, puncher's chance. All right. I think it's the little things, because if you are competitive in these moments, you can just work on so much more. You can say like, okay, we're kind of in the game. We need Shaedon Sharpe, go out there and be aggressive against a team that's still trying to win, and that'll help Shaedon's progression. Go out there and every Simon, Scoot Henderson, see what you can, do playing off one another, all those things. Like, even though you're both better with the ball in your hands, whatever it might be, like, but do it against a competitive team when the game is like still in the balance, because those are more useful minutes than just like the joy of watching, a young player kind of figure out and find their legs in a blowout. You'd love to see it. From the mini you'd love to see it, our mini preview series where we talk about things you would love to see, you'd love to see them just play a little better. Just play a little better. I don't think thinking that they'll win either of these 2 games is sort of beyond what I'm willing to do here, but I think for the sake of just like the vibes around the team, just play a competitive game. Play a game where you don't get laughed off the floor. Because when you do play competitive minutes, the data is so much like it's easier for us here, viewers and myself here, just to parse like, okay, what do we see? As opposed to be like, well, that's another one. And they don't need to do it for the pod or anything, but they do need to do it for their own, if they are building towards something, more positive stretches like they had at the beginning of the season would be a sign that they're building towards something. And otherwise it's the sign in the other direction that this thing is falling apart in a way that this boat don't float, and they're going to obviously have to make, seismic changes on a bunch of different levels. OKC's really freaking good though. The other things you need to know about this game is DeAndre Ayton is still listed as doubtful. Jabari Walke is questionable. The Blazers broadcast did say that Ayton, who was listed as doubtful for the last game, he's been listed as out for 10 days or a week or 2 weeks, 10 days. But he was upgraded to doubtful over the last game. And the Blazers broadcast, Lamar Hurd and Kevin Calabro said that he was out there getting like a real sweat on, working up a lather pregame. That's a really good sign for guys who are getting back. Is like, if you've ever been to a game early, like there's a difference. I've mentioned this in the show as well. There's a difference in like getting shots up and like actually a pregame workout. And based on those comments, if it was actually a pregame workout, that bodes well. So we may or may not see DA. Hopefully he comes back in one of these last 2 games, because the Blazers could just use him at full strength and see what they have. Jabari Walke still listed as questionable. He was questionable for the last game and did not play, so we'll see what happens with him. As the Blazers get healthier, and you're more likely to see more competitive minutes. You're more likely to see sort of meaningful choices they make about the future and their development and all of those things. So you hope everybody gets, you want them to get back and you want them to make tough roster and rotation decisions, because that means that they have enough of their better players to go out there and make some choices. That is going to do it for today's show. Believe it or not, tomorrow's show, we're going to recap that OKC game and look ahead to the game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Blazers finally will be back in town after 2 weeks on the road. 7-day road trip ends Friday evening. I guess they're going to fly out Saturday, so ends Saturday when they get on the plane. I think for us, it ends Friday evening when the Blazers wrap up against the T-Wolves. So come back for Friday's show. We'll talk about the OKC game. Hopefully you find your joy. Find your joy, whatever it is. Scoot's passing, if it's bench energy, if it's Rayan Rupert playing minutes at the end of games, find your joy this season. And once you find your joy, hold on to it. Cling to it, because joy and life is fleeting. So if you got it, don't let it go. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.